good, normal family. We can cut off some stuff, right, in between. Wow. I'm just trying to get away from your question. Listen, I'm just joking. We'll cut this out.
No, I'll keep that.
No. Am I making too many, like moving too much?
No, it's good.
Wow, that's a hard question.
Take your time and there's no rush.
Can I sip my coffee, please? Wow. I have to be very careful with my answer.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья. Первым гостем моим является Фаридун Назаров. Фаридун здесь не случайно. Фаридун живет в Вашингтоне, он успешный бизнесмен, он сейчас гостит в Лондоне, и вот мы решили записать в этот солнечный лондонский день видеоинтервью, в котором я хотел бы зафиксировать, наверное, момент и вот идеи, видения, которые есть у Фаридуна. С точки зрения формата, это свободный формат, у нас нет каких-то вопросов прописанных. С точки зрения языка тоже мы даем свободу. Тот язык, который удобен, тот, который более широкой аудитории доступен. И, например, если мы говорим о бизнесе, то бизнес-язык – это больше английский язык. Фаридун, прежде всего, бизнесмен, успешный бизнесмен, и ему удобнее на английском изъясняться. Поэтому с точки зрения языка мы договорились, что мы будем между русским, английским, таджикским, где-то в каких-то местах непереводимых. Вот, но будет свобода. Вот. Я хотел бы сказать, почему я пригласил Фаридуна первым гостем, потому что для меня Фаридун – это идеальный пример человека, который может служить вдохновением для нашей молодежи в Таджикистане, потому что он в возрасте 18 лет отправился в Америку с нулевым багажом, а сейчас вырос до успешного предпринимателя, владельца нескольких бизнесов. То есть это такой идеальный пример hustler. Вот на английском есть это слово. В моем понимании он является вот этой role model, каким должен быть hustler. И также, вот, я не знаю, в камере это сложно передать, но в принципе это человек с уникальной энергетикой. Он всегда заряжен энергией, из него всегда прет энергия, и ему хочется делать, действовать, то есть человек действия. И поэтому, мне кажется, это хорошее начало для нашего проекта, пригласить вот такого молодого, энергичного, успешного таджикистанца, который живет в Вашингтоне. Фаридун, слово тебе. Может быть, ты коротко расскажешь о своем пути, как вот вообще, откуда ты, как попал в Америку, какой путь прошел.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor. So my name is Faridun. I was born in Tajikistan, Khujan city. I grew up in Khujan, and I went to Tajik school, Russian school in Khujan, and graduated with a high honor degree. And basically, my childhood was a normal childhood, but my parents, they really spend a lot of attention into my education. They didn't let me fool around too much. They sent me to the best schools, so they really paid attention so I get the best possible knowledge. During the summers, I would spend my time with my grandparents, which was one of the best times. And basically, after graduating high school when I was 17, not 18, I decided to go to the U.S. I wanted to go to the U.S. for a long time because, it's a country of opportunities, and I had very ambitious goals since I was a child. So when I was 17, I found a school in New York myself. I found a friend of a friend of a friend who promised to pick me up from the airport.
And didn't show up.
I'll tell you the story there. So basically, I found a school. I got a I-20 invitation, got my visa. Then I bought my ticket for August 23rd. So in my mind, I thought, okay, when I go there, it's going to be August 24th. So I told to a friend of a friend, I'll be there on the August 24th. But because of the time difference, when I landed in the US, it still was August 23rd, and the guy didn't show up. So I had to get a help from a friend. I mean, from someone to help me call the guy. So he came after like 3 hours, picked me up. So that's how my journey started in the US. But I immediately, after like a couple of months, started thinking about business. Start trying, different things. And we've been doing business since 17 with Akobir and Zico, some friends.
So you've known Akobir for a long time. I mean, you came at the same time, or?
He's older than me, so we went to the same high school with him. He graduated 1 year earlier than I am, so he came to the US 1 year earlier. He was in DC. I was in New York for the first 10 months. Then I moved to DC, and then we started reunited and started doing business together, and then that's how it all started.
While preparing for the interview, I've noticed one thing. Looking into your Facebook page, that in relative sections you have Akobir as your brother.
Yeah. Akobir is I guess more than a brother. He's like, if I had an older brother, I think that's because we've been together for the past doing business together 11 years. We shared everything together. We went through ups and downs of life. Building businesses, failing businesses, disappointments, success, everything together. So, he's more than a brother to me. Yeah.
So, could you tell us more about your parents, like your family in particular?
Sure. My mom, she used to be a judge, civil judge. My dad is a doctor. So they both are educated. My mom, she stopped working after my younger brother was born to kind of pay attention to our education, which I think it was a huge sacrifice on her side, but the best thing for us, for me and my brother, because of her commitment for us to study and not to fool around, basically. We are who we are today. Obviously, my dad, he really worked hard. He makes sure to provide for the best possible education that I could have.
They're still in Khujan?
They're still in Khujan. They come and visit us to the US often. But my dad doesn't really like US. He comes, stays for a week, 2 weeks max, and then he goes back. They're educated people, normal family, not super rich,
Who was your role model back in the time when you were in Tajikistan, when you were 17 years old? Because young people, they always aspire to be someone or look at someone as a role model for themselves.
Yeah.
And who is your role model now? So I want to see that evolution over the last 10 years.
Sure. So basically, your role models change as you grow and as you step into different stages in life. When I was young, I did not have a role model. Hollywood movies really sold me the idea of going to the US. I was excited. I would see the movies. I was like, oh, I want to go and live in this place. I want to go and study in these places. But then once I got to the US, obviously I had so many role models, so many mentors who supported me throughout this 10 years and made me who I am today. I know you're gonna laugh, but one of my early models, it was you and Akai Firdas, even though you guys did not know me.
And then you got disappointed and switched to another.
No. Because at that time I did not really know successful Tajiks, at that time, right? Like who went overseas and became successful. Yeah. Even though I did not know you, I used to look at your social media accounts and like get inspired. I was a student. I was trying to get where I want to be. So that's one of the reasons why I keep my social media account and share some stuff with the hope that I could be an example or inspiration for some other Tajik who's struggling, who has big goals and who wants to achieve.
Who is the game changer? Who was the main mentor?
Early on, one of the biggest game changers for me was Darren Hardy. He's like a success coach, motivational speaker. He had this book called The Compound Effect, which I read, and it just kind of blew my mind. You know, after 10 years, when I read that book, everything sounds very simple, but at that time, it was like a bomb in my mind. Wow. So it helped me to really focus and my energy into disciplining myself, staying focused. One of the things that it really that book taught me early on, that you cannot have everything at the same time. You know, you gotta sacrifice certain things, you know, depending on your goal. So if your goal is to graduate high school and build a business, you gotta sacrifice for a little bit your social life, because you cannot go out every night and go to school and try to do business. It's impossible. Yeah. So you come home, for example, your friends are having a tea, having an amazing conversation. You cannot sit with them and for 3 hours and talk. Yeah. You gotta go to your room and study. You know?
Yeah. How did you make your first money?
My first money I made by selling clothes.
Where, in Tajikistan? Or?
No, in New York.
In New York, okay.
In New York, in a clothing shop. I used to make $6 an hour. So yeah, that was my first time I made money.
Like a salary, yeah?
Salary, yeah.
Okay, what about business?
The first money we made was from housing.
Housing. Okay.
Yeah, because me and my friend Akobir, we went through a lot of housing challenges. But then, since we were always thinking about business, we were thinking and talking about business 24/7. We noticed that a lot of students are having the same problems. So we saw an opportunity. So we said, okay, let's try to build a company, open a company, rent a couple apartments, and let's see if we can rent it to students with flexible lease.
You do a sublet, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it exploded.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. What do you value most in people?
I value most conscience, because when you have conscience, I believe that you can learn or you can teach everything, but conscience it's a fine line that comes from how you were raised, from your parents, from your surrounding. Just to say in Tajik, vicdan. Right?
Yeah.
Because if someone has a conscience, we can teach them. We can get training courses, anything necessary. So that's what I value the most in people. If someone does something good to a total stranger, with no expectation of any kind of return whatsoever, I think we'll be good with that person, because that person fundamentally cannot be bad. So as long as they have conscience, everything else is teachable, trainable, you can learn. That's how at least we were able to build like long-term relationship with a lot of people that we work right now. Me and Akab are team members. They are like family to us now. We've started more than 15 companies together, and most of our core team has been the same, basically, because of that.
But do you believe that in the team you need to have people who are the same type of mindset or same values?
No, I don't believe that. I mean, values maybe, but you don't want to have same people in one place, because it's going to be very monotone team.
Yeah.
You wanna have team members that have different strengths, so you have all different parts covered.
So what would be your strength?
My personal strengths, I think I'm very disciplined, and I could push the team into a certain goal consistently. I'm very consistent. Doesn't matter if something gets into my head, I just keep working on it until it gets done. On the other hand, Akobir, for example, he's he's an idea guy. He's a visionary. He like kind of directs where we're gonna go because he could see, because he's not focused like I am on details,
Operations.
on operations.
That's why you are Chief Operations Officer.
Yeah, that's why I'm Chief
Makes sense.
Operating Officer. But at the same time, I'm really good with people as well. So I do a lot of business development at the company.
Makes
so
sense.
yeah.
What is like the biggest lesson you had in your life so far?
I had many lessons, but I think overall, how you will win in life, there's only one quality that you need. Because once you have that quality, and I learned that, I think you will end up doing well at the end of the day, and that is persistence, right? Persistence. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You see a lot of smart people working at a companies at a fixed salary. They could build something or become a businessman or entrepreneurs, and they don't do that. Then the big question is persistence. I don't think I'm here today because I am smart or somehow different. I think that we are here because we are persistent, because we failed so many times in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep failing. And it's very painful. Like, you understand, Azamad, you're an entrepreneur too. Sure. It is very painful. After experiencing that pain, getting up and moving on or trying again needs persistence.
Sure.
So I think that's the biggest lesson I learned in this 10 years, that you got to be persistent.
One of my rules of my life, I would say, is that you need to act and know what you want rather than just wait what you get in your life. And this sounds very simple, but in order to get to that, you need to fail a lot and maybe go through a lot of things in your life. So what would be your life rules?
So just to go back to what you said, I agree with you. There's a slightly different version of way to explain what you just said. Like, knowledge is not a power. Knowledge is a potential to power. Acting upon knowledge is the power. So, everyone could have an idea to fly to the moon, fly here, do this. But people who end up changing the world, people who actually act on their ideas. So that's really important. For me, I have several quotes that I follow, but one of the most important thing that actually keeps me going through the pains is this quote: comfort and growth cannot coexist. So it means that if you're comfortable, it means that you're not growing. If you're not comfortable and in your pain, it's good. You're growing, you're learning, you're trying something new. So you're growing. So that's one of the most important quotes that I think I like and I follow in life.
What makes people happy, in your opinion? What's the main criteria or missing element?
I think in the long term, what will make us really, really happy as human beings is a meaningful relationship with friends, meaningful relationship with your family, kids, and doing a job that is meaningful too. It doesn't matter whether you're janitor or what's his name, a president. It's the way you look at life. I'll give you an example. There was a janitor at NASA. And they asked him a question like, "So are you happy with what you do? With the goal?" He said, "Of course. I'm helping. I'm contributing for humankind to get to the moon." It's the way you look at life.
The way you look at.
Yeah.
Looking through your LinkedIn profile, I noticed that you have a lot of information about your education.
Yes.
Like you have Harvard, Stanford,
yes,
additional courses. So I can tell that education plays a special role in your life. Like
Yes.
you put a lot of attention to it. Maybe can you tell us more? I mean, why you think education is more important than business achievements? Or
Yeah. So first of all, I want to tell you one thing. Traditional educational systems right now are not compatible with the real life anymore, right? That's the bad news. The good news is all the information that we need, right? We could get it for free online.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you want to go. Like even when I used to go to colleges, I used to spend a lot of time self-educating myself, right? And I used to try to focus on the things that interest me. Sometimes, in most of my courses, I would come to the class 4 times or 3 times. First class, midterms, finals, and then just in the middle one. But it doesn't mean I was not studying. I was studying on my own pace. I really loved it.
Yeah.
I would do extensive research on any subject that I was doing. I first got in love with the accounting subject, and that's when I noticed that I finished like this kind of book in 3-4 days. Then it was like a light bulb to me, like, oh,
yeah.
I need to find things that excite me. Once I find things that excite me, I don't need a teacher. I don't need I could learn. Going back to all this certifications and degrees that you saw, it's very, very important to me because in my mind, I had this incredible blessing, incredible opportunity. So I need to do my best. Even when I was applying to Harvard, Wharton, all this kind of schools,
Yeah.
I was not sure if they can accept me.
You were always aiming for the top, right?
Yes, exactly. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted, like after a couple of years, I wanted to tell to myself, I tried, it didn't work out, right? I tried, it didn't work out. And one thing I always say to young Tajiks in the U.S., most of them, they have parents who could, who are doing well, who could afford them. I always tell them, like,
aim for the top.
Aim for the top, shoot for the stars. Worst case, you'll end up in the moon.
Yeah, I think there are probably 10, 15 Tajiks who graduated top schools.
Yeah,
like in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S.
If you take Stanford, Howard, and Wharton.
Right now there's a very smart guy, John Azimi, who's doing double major in Harvard and Stanford.
Guy who graduated Stanford, I know. So there are a lot of science majors. Like there are 2 chemical engineering majors at MIT, Tajiks. One of them is doing post PhD, and one of them is doing PhD. So we just have to bring them and show it to the world, basically, to Tajiks, as an example. Do you think that it's a must thing to have to be successful in the modern world, in the modern business world? Because, for example, Bezos he graduated from Princeton, Sergey Brin, Jobs, Musk, they come from Stanford. Then Zuckerberg, I think, and Gates, they did Harvard.
Yeah,
so all of the top or most successful entrepreneurs that we know nowadays, they did top schools.
But they got into top schools.
Yeah, they got into
top. Not all of them graduated
true.
Because their business.
But they managed to go through.
So education is really important. I believe that the fact that in the U.S. I came as a 17-year-old. Yes, my parents gave me the base. They raised me. They gave me all that knowledge. But the continuous success I was able to achieve through knowledge. Again, I want to repeat myself. Knowledge doesn't mean this traditional knowledge where you sit in the university and learn something or get a degree. It's not only that. Knowledge could be anything. You want to become a businessman, you research how to become a businessman. Mm-hmm. That's knowledge, right? So I definitely agree that knowledge is important. I don't think that you have to go to top schools to become successful, but if you can, why not? Mm-hmm. Shoot for the
for the best. Yeah.
For the best. Get a Harvard degree, get a Stanford degree, get a Princeton degree. Like if you can, why not?
Makes sense. What do you think is your main weakness?
I get excited about everything. And when you're excited, sometimes you don't think straight. And you are more prone to make a mistake. You know? So, but thankfully I have Akobir, who is chill.
Reserved.
You know, reserved. He's like, he could, like when things are exciting, because I move really fast, and I can make a mistake, he could think clearer. So I think my biggest weakness is getting excited too much.
You know, another thing which I noticed is that those Tajiks who live here in London versus those Tajiks who live in the US, I mean, they are the same Tajiks who moved from Tajikistan, say, 10, 15 years ago, but the influence of the culture, of the local culture, is different. For example, here, people are more sort of reserved, calm. They don't express themselves that openly. They're not that communicative. Versus those Tajiks, when we had a meeting with, remember when you brought some of the guys from US? We felt it, that we are too reserved because we are not that open, we're not that communicative, even though we all come from the same background. But the probably American culture opens up people more rather than British culture. I just wanted to talk more about the influence of the culture, because there are a lot of Tajiks who live in Russia, for example. It's like over 1 million of them now. Or Tajiks who live in the US, probably 100,000, I don't know.
No, it's 10,000.
10,000?
10,000 plus, yeah.
Okay, 10,000. I heard another number, I heard about 50K.
If you can count the Samarkand, Bukhara Tajiks, maybe. But
maybe,
just Tajiks from Tajikistan?
From Tajikistan, only 10,000.
Like plus minus.
So what do you think about this cultural influence, and about when you're gonna have kids? How would you raise them? I mean, how would you teach them to, will you advise them to integrate into American culture, or you would try to keep them within your cultural background, culture?
It's a great question. So I believe that most cultures, Tajik culture and the American culture, they have a lot of good things, and they have bad things as well. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to, help my kids to take the best from each culture. So, for example, one of the things that keeps me up at night, sometimes, when I think I don't have kids yet, but like I want to grow old with my kids, right? One of the issues I see in the U.S., because of the independent culture, everyone is too independent, right? So the relationship between parents and kids are not very strong, like in Tajikistan. That's what bothers me the most. But they have a lot of great stuff: being independent, working hard, believing in yourself. Opportunities. Looking at everyone equally. Only hard work wins, right? So, just to answer your question, probably they'll live in the U.S., but I'll send them every 3 months, for summer vacations to Tajikistan, so they get grasp the both cultures.
But do you go there often yourself?
Yes, I go often. Like this year, I've been in Tajikistan 3-4 times.
Do you follow the news? What's happening there? Like,
yeah, I try to, but I'm a businessman, so I try to stay focused on the business. I'm very close with Tajik community in the U.S., in D.C. We've created a Tajik American Culture Association a while ago that has done great things, I believe, for Tajik community. So I'm very involved with my community and with my roots.
With the global community of Tajiks.
Global community of Tajiks. I believe in one thing. We were blessed to come to these countries who are, economically, from every aspect, are the strongest top countries, and we need to focus to become as much successful as possible in those countries. Because once we do, whether it's business, whether it's becoming a doctor or politician, who cares? It will all benefit our country, our people.
Yeah.
Imagine if one of us hits that target of a billionaire, imagine how much good it's gonna do for the country, for people, the inspiration, or imagine a Tajik that was born, or the Tajik, an American with a Tajik background got into Congress, U.S. Congress, for example. Imagine how much good it will do to the country. So I preach, hey, we are in the U.S., we are in Europe, wherever we are, we need to do our best, give our best to become the most successful people in those countries, so we later could help.
Every time we go there, because I travel there as well, quite regularly, and every time we go there, we spot some trends, some changes or trends, because when you live there, you don't notice them that much. So what would be like top 3 things which you noticed over past 3-4 years in Tajikistan?
So one thing I see, a lot more people are paying attention to education, like parents educating their kids. So that's one thing that I really liked personally. The second trend I see, that a lot of people and groups like Dushal Jurayev, who are successful entrepreneurs, and they are trying to motivate the Tajik young youth, basically, to try it out and become an entrepreneur. To build something, to create something. Like they're showing opportunities, which I really like. The third trend that is just started, and I'm really excited about it, is outsourcing. So the QA schools, like engineering schools, because I believe that if we invest in it, we're very bright Tajiks, right? We could create a lot of engineers, like programmers, quality assurance specialists, who could stay in Tajikistan, make decent money, and work for companies in Europe and the US. Which those just 3 trends that I'm seeing that look very promising.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you so much
for your time.
It was a
Very
pleasure.
valuable.
Thank you so much.
We stay in touch.
Yes.